Yesterday was a very busy day. We decided that before we set all these plants up at front of that van, we'd clean the entire front of that van, and we basically did it between us by hand. So that took quite a while. And now we've started potting on restaurant plants. This is one that I did recent. It's a tiny little tomato plant. It's called Sweet and Neat, and it's a determinate tomato plant, which means basically it grows to a certain height, flowers, sets all its fruit at once, and then that plant's finished. But you get lots of cherry tomatoes from a little plant that's only going to be that big at full maturity. So I've put it in a little container like that, and that's where it's going to stay. But we've basically finished those big planters now. We just need to put a bit of lining in them. So I thought it's a good idea to spend the entire day potting everything on. And we've actually got quite a few plants now at the moment. So we're going to start and add things to that balcony, because we've got those containers that you tie to your balcony, which I think are brilliant. And we're going to use those for the cherry tomatoes, the tumbling toms, that will then cascade all the way down the outside of that balcony. So very easy picking for your fruit when that time comes. I'll show you what we've done so far. So the entire front of this van has now been cleaned, and we've got both its planters done. We just need to finish those off. And these are some of the containers I've been doing. We've got some more tomato plants in there, also a lavender plant, and of course as potato plants. And we've put all as peppers into 2 litre pots now. We're going to put them into 10 litres eventually, but for now they'll be alright in those. But we've also, again, this balcony are clean as well, because that's where we're going to hang those cherry tomato cascading plants. But first we need to get them in the pots. For now I'm just going to do these two. They're red cherry tomatoes, tumbling toms, and they're about ready to be coming out of these pots. We can see roots coming out at bottom. But I have also got a yellow tumbling tom, but as you can see that's tiny. So I'm going to let this one grow on in this container until it gets a bit bigger before we move that one. And these are the containers we're going to be using to put on that balcony, because they've got that cut out. So basically you get a tie wrap which you thread through the bottom, and you need to do that in advance. Then it goes through there, and that's your tie wrap through, and then it's underneath so you can secure it to that balcony. So having done that bit, we can get some compost in and a little feed, and get this tomato in, and then we'll get it put on that balcony. So all we need to do is fill it up, and this compost is not sieved. We don't need sieved compost for this job, because we're putting already established plants in. So we're going to fill it up right to the top, and then we're going to add some feed, and this is bone meal, but you can use grow or fish blood and bone, up to you. And we'll give that a good mix. Plenty of nutrition in there to get these plants going. And then I'm going to add some more on top, just firming it down a little bit as well, not too much, because we've got to get that plant in yet. I think these are going to look really good on that balcony when they start fruiting. Now we'll get us planting, and these are growing and they're kind of leaning to one side, but that's fine. We want it to cascade over the top of this container, so we'll make sure we've got it lined up the right way so it wants to be there basically. And I'll just use that pot to start off that hole that we need. And as you can see, plenty of roots growing, and we'll get this plant put in. Simple as that. And that's the first one set up. Put my label back in as well. So now we can get this put on that balcony. So we'll just drop that over there, and you can see it's pretty sturdy even without that tie wrap fastened, so that's brilliant. And we just need to space them out in two on this particular bit, so we'll make sure we've got them spaced correctly before we tighten anything up. And that looks about right to me. So now we can just fasten that tyre up. A bit tricky to get your fingers in to do it, but we'll manage. There we go, job done. We'll get this one filled up, get a plant in, and then we'll do the same with that. Once we've threaded that tyre wrap through, once again, fill it up. Then we can add this feed and give that a good mix. And then we'll top it off. Make that hole with that old pot this time. We'll get this plant in as well. Just firm that in a little bit. And it's easy as that. That's his next one all done. So was balcony. Tomatoes are on the way. If it's your first time growing tomato plants, there is something worth knowing, that there's two different types. You've got what's called an indeterminate tomato plant, and that's your regular full-size tomato plant. And then you've got your bush varieties or dwarf varieties, and they're determinate plants. And what that means is that a determinate plant will only grow to a certain size. For example, the ones that we've just planted get to around 12 inches tall. They flower all at once, they fruit all at once, and then they're finished. Whereas an indeterminate plant will just keep going and going all year until frost kills it. And another thing that you need to be aware of is when you get your regular tomato plants like these, you'll see at some point through season, if not virtually every day, they start to grow little side shoots. And if you look just there, you can see the start of a tiny little side shoot trying to grow in between those branches. On normal tomato plants, full size ones, you need to keep taking those off, because if you don't, they'll grow into branches, quite big branches, and they'll produce even more suckers, and so on and so on. And before you know it, your plant will become a mass of branches and foliage, and you don't want that. You need to keep on top of it. So while ever you're growing those plants, constantly keep taking them off. But when it comes to growing dwarf tomatoes or bush tomatoes, when you see those little side shoots starting to grow, don't take those off. You need them plants to grow as many branches as possible, because then you'll get a maximum amount of fruit off each plant. So it's something that's worth knowing. A regular full-size tomato plant, take every sucker off that you see, and you'll never stop doing that from the day you plant them until the day them plants are virtually finished. They just keep coming and coming, and I always miss quite a few every year. But if you don't do it at all, it is going to affect your harvest, and that plant is going to very quickly get out of control. But leave your little dwarf tomatoes as they are. That is all the better for that plant, because it'll just create a really nice bush of ripe cherry tomatoes. Anyway, I've finished potting that second tomato plant on, and we've got them attached to that balcony now, and we've got 2 on there, but we're going to put 4 on in total. I've got a couple more, but I just need to get hold of a couple more Tumbling Tom tomato plants, and then we'll have a full row. And don't forget, I've also got that one that's exactly the same as those, but it's a long trough version, and I think I'm going to fill that with salad seeds, so we can have the salads and as cherry tomatoes all growing on that balcony. And we've got a doorway that goes straight out from this caravan onto that balcony, so it's really easy and convenient to pick ourselves some fresh homegrown salad. There we go, all done. These will provide us with lots and lots of cherry tomatoes as we go through summer. And we've also got all those other plants now potted on, so the next job is going to be line those planters and get some plants in. That might be tomorrow's job. So as you've just seen, simple but very effective. I think they're brilliant. And if I'd got a bigger banister, I'd have filled the entire thing with those. Because we can put spinach and all sorts in there, even spring onions. But I've still got quite a few more plans for this Caravan container garden. We've not finished quite yet. And since we've been forecast to have hot, sunny days for the next week coming, I think we're going to get quite a lot done. And we need to get some flowers as well, because I also want a bit of colour at front of that van. So we'll have a look, see what we can get over the next few days, and then we'll get those set up too. And if you want to see what else we do over the next few days, please hit that subscribe button and press that notifications bell. And thank you so much for all your support over the last couple of weeks. It really does mean a lot to us. Take care.